Hello, this is Pastor Terry Goodman, and I want to welcome you to the Wesleyan Connection. This podcast is primarily for the clergy and laity of the Holston Annual Conference. Join with me now as I take a look around the Connection and share some of the things happening in the churches of our annual conference. As a pastor, have you ever had a conversation with a parishioner at Walmart? Hi, this is Terry Goodman. I'm the pastor at Trinity United Methodist Church, and this is my podcast, The Wesleyan Connection. I want to welcome you to this podcast. That's the kind of question that Lane Pennington posed to us when we were meeting together for our roundtable discussion with the district superintendent. This is yet another in the series of conversations that we had, and Lane was raising a good question. You know, what exactly is a visit? Does it have to be in the home? Or can it be a conversation held at Walmart or Food City or some other local store or restaurant? And so I want you to listen to this conversation and realize that sometimes ministry is taking place in places that you would not normally associate as a place of ministry. But anytime we get a chance to converse and talk and share and fellowship with one another, I think ministry is happening. So enjoy the podcast.
Well, but doesn't it even have some bearing on how we order our time and trying to be good stewards of our time? Like, for example, I don't do a lot of house visits anymore, just, by myself. It's not the best environment nowadays to do it. But if I'm out, and my daughter is always, she's kind of a gauge, a barometer I go by, because she'll always tell me, I don't go with my dad anywhere. We can't get out of there because everybody, he's talking to everybody and everything. And I have to make sure. So I didn't go up to them. They came up to me and everything like that. And it's kind of a little joke that we're talking about. But if I'm at Walmart somewhere and it takes me 2 hours to get out of there, I consider that success.
Absolutely.
Now, you can't report that to the conference, but I may have anywhere from 3, 4, 8 good long conversations, 5, 6, 10 minutes long or whatever, To me, that's a real visit. You see what I'm saying? I don't count it as a house visit because I don't see the house visiting as influential as it used to be, but right there in Walmart, and when people come up and they just want to start talking to you because you're approachable and you'll give them your time, to me that's being the presence of God. And that's what I consider success nowadays more than some of the things that maybe the conference would be asking. Because I have to answer that for myself because I put it on my phone, on my calendar on my phone. And I have to just say, have you been, faithful to the Lord today? And have you done all the good that you can? And then that's what I consider when I see all these people that I've just talked to for 5 or 6 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. I'm thinking, God, you are making a difference, and to me that's success. But I don't know, when I start filling out these reports, I think, oh no, we don't have the same attendance last year as we did this year, and I feel bad because the reports make me feel like I'm not doing anything. But I look back at my calendar and I'm thinking, I talked over 100 people this month, just being the presence of God, but I can't put that down. And so part of what we were talking about is what they consider success and what we do is probably not the same thing. And it beats us over the head sometimes,
Well, there has to be money. I think there's a couple of things that you really brought out there. I think, we really do need to think about how we organize our ministry, both our ministry and the ministry of the church. How many of us really are organized to really transform lives? How many of us just kind of hoping it's going to happen instead of having a process that basically says, this is the way we're going to get there. And when I lived in Galax, I was 2 miles from Walmart, and that was my visitation place. I'd go down there and I'd probably see 10 members and have those same conversations, and I would judge the same way, Lane, because it worked. It was the best place, and we've got to think about how we organize. I'm saying I was hoping that it would happen there, but I think that we really do need to stop and think about how we pull together. But I think the other side of things is too, I think we really need to think about our metrics that we use. You know, I think a lot of the ways that we measure our success really aren't measuring success. You know, I don't think they're really measuring what we think that they're measuring, and you know, especially back in areas where we're pastoring, you know, because it's not telling us what we really need to know. And you know, that's the one thing that I'm just keep on coming back to. Even though I talked about numbers just a minute ago for my particular situation, I don't think the numbers are really telling us what we need to know.
As the one person at this table that's never taken Methodist history or polity, you know, we really are talking about Wesley going into the coal mines. You know, the coal mines just are the Walmarts, the laundromats,
Mine's the post office.
the post office, the places that.
Mine's Food City. If I want to go fast, I'd drive to Cobra and be twice as fast on Food City.
Yeah.
You know, and when we talk about organizing to transform lives, you know, do we need to go back? Part of what I think happened last night was almost class meetings. I mean, or the beginning of class meetings.
In fact, that was questions I asked.
And you know, do we need to be even more intentional about drawing from that rich history, and then saying, you know, John Wesley took what was in his history and brought it up to date for the 18th century. We need to take what's in our rich history and bring it up to date for the 21st century.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, in the ways of doing church may not be the traditional way of sitting in the church, doing the singing and the preaching. It may be the fellowship meal.
Well,
Or,
and I've always thought that meal was an alternative church in
Right.
Pennington Gap.
Right, or a
And-
Bible study, anything that I guess you'd say it's like Rethink Church, you know, that movement, Rethink Church. We're supposed to think outside the box because, like I said, what used to reach people, you know, even when I was a child 50 years ago, is not working now. Just simply going out and saying, I'd love for you to come to church. That doesn't work.
Fill the pew Sunday.
Yeah, you know, now some people it will,
Yeah.
but your people that gap 50 and under, that doesn't work anymore. You've got, unfortunately, our churches have got to be an entertaining thing, and and that's where I said we kind of lose the basics. But your larger congregations and things with the drop down screens and the 45 minutes of praise music and praise band, they capture the attention and lift the people up, and it gives them an entertainment factor. And then when they come to a smaller church like mine, we still use the bulletin. We still do the lots of praying. We still do the singing. We still do the preaching. You know, some people that fills them, especially the older. But people 50 and under, it just
People 50 and under still want relationships.
yeah, but in a different way.
And
in a different way.
But
I think that's where that we really have to think about our process. You know, how do we design our church to make disciples? How do we design it so that lives are transformed? You know, what does Sunday morning mean? You know, probably all of us here at this table are not going to have at our churches a contemporary service where we're going to have 45 minutes worth of singing. We would have our people walking right out the back door. But with that said, you know, I think that we can easily design worship services where the lives are transformed. You know, like 9/11. You know, I preached on. I'm in a sermon series. What keeps you up at night? And I talked about terror that morning, and we had one of our members do a remembrance of 9/11, and you know, it was. I think it was probably more moving than what I said that morning. You know, but.
This is Pastor Goodman. Thanks for listening to this edition of the Wesleyan Connection. Be sure to check back often for more podcasts.